Let's talk about how and why to nurture healthy soil and build up soil organic matter, especially so that it can hold more water when it rains. So in a nutshell, when it rains, we want our soil to hold onto the water. Healthy soil is a sponge. We want to nurture healthy soil. That way our plants can survive and even thrive through months or years of below average rainfall. Rainfall is going to fluctuate, sometimes badly. Sometimes we go months and years with below average rainfall, and all over the world, not least of all in the American West, we are having record droughts. It's not fun. It is heartbreaking. It's devastating. But we can go far to change that, to become more drought resilient. So here's an article, Moving U.S. Pastures and Grasslands from Desertification to Holistic Management. And this is featured on the No-Till Farmer website. It's an article by John Dauberstein from February 2018. And this is Alan Savory, of course. And at that conference, at a No-Till on the Plains conference, Alan Savory said the following. It says, Savory says desertification results when the available rainfall becomes less effective. In other words, it's not just the rain you get, but it's the rain you keep. He doesn't say desertification results when when there's less rainfall. He says desertification results when the available rainfall becomes less effective. All over the world, there are places, in fact, most places that have had any agricultural use whatsoever. Most places, the rainfall it does not stay on or in the ground. It runs off rapidly. It causes floods. And then a day later, you've got drought again because you didn't capture the rain that fell. So Savory says effective rainfall is that which falls, soaks into the soil, and only leaves it through growing plants, or by flowing through the soil to rivers, wetlands, and aquifers. Non-effective rainfall runs across the soil surface, leading to floods, or soaks in and subsequently leaves by evaporation from bare soil between plants, leading to droughts. So there's three things that can happen to rainfall when it falls. It can soak into the ground, or it can run off, or it can evaporate. If it runs off rapidly, it's not effective rainfall. If it evaporates because of bare soil in between plants, then it's not effective rainfall. The only effective rainfall is that which infiltrates into the ground and it stays there because the soil has the capacity to hold on to it, and then it stays there for a long duration and able to nurture the plants, even though there may not be another rainfall for a good while. And it's also okay if that rainfall, after it goes into the soil, it percolates gradually downward and then across into the streams and rivers. That's okay too. It is the slow movement of water through the soil that is what we want. So a preview of what's to come, especially I'm going to show you an article from the University of Florida, and in that article we'll see the following. It's not the rain we get, it's the rain we keep that matters most. Soil organic matter soaks up rainfall. So we can build soil organic matter by avoiding tillage, planting cover crops, and employing organic amendments. And organic amendments varies. It says here, crop residues in farming or leaves and wood chips in landscaping. In farming, you're dealing with more acreage, so it's not as practical or feasible or affordable to bring things in. In a landscaping context, when you're dealing with less acreage, it's affordable, in fact free. In my region, in my area, it's free to bring in wood chips, and also I can go around and pick up leaf bags, put that down, and that is organic matter that covers the soil much better than just having bare soil or a thin layer of plants. It depends, but so here's the article, University of Florida, IFAS extension. So it says raising soil organic matter content to improve water holding capacity. Raising soil organic matter content to improve water holding capacity by Bada et al. So the introduction says, just like a sponge, soils with high organic matter and aggregates can absorb and hold water during rainfall events and deliver it to plants during dry spells. Your plants can be drinking as much water as they need, even during dry spells, as long as the soil has the water, can hold on to it, and can gradually release it. I like calling that plant available water. Quite often the water that's already in your soil, and if it's in good nutritious soil with a good living soil food web, a good robust dynamic soil food web, that is going to be better. The water in that soil is going to be better than what you can get from a hose or from irrigation, in my opinion. Water is increasingly becoming the most limited natural resource supporting agriculture. So this is in Florida. How much more is that true elsewhere? But growers can improve their water storage capacity by raising their soil's organic matter content. Now, here are 3 ways in which they say to do that. The last slide was why we should raise organic matter content, and this is how. Low or no tillage. They're recommending low tillage or no tillage. They say tillage breaks soil aggregates, reducing the space in between that is necessary for air and water to flow through. By aerating the soil, tillage intensifies microbial activity. In other words, there's too much activity, too much microbial activity going on. There's too much oxidation going on. That soil organic matter, which is rich in carbon, is breaking down, oxidizing, going into the atmosphere, and it's no longer going to be available for your plants or for the health of the soil food web. It says this results in unhealthy soils with less structure, less soil structure, low organic matter, and low water holding capacity. So your water holding capacity is going down because of tillage. Tillage makes your water holding capacity go down. So there's less effective rainfall. And it says the sponge property of the soil is lost, and so is the soil's water storing capacity. When heavy rain occurs, in other words, when you have poor soil with low water holding capacity, when heavy rain occurs, water and suspended particles, i.e. nutrients, minerals, organic nutrients, water and suspended particles are lost to ditches via seepage and runoff. So you're losing water, you're losing soil particles, and you're losing nutrients because of the poor quality of the soil and its low water holding capacity. During droughts, the soils lack moisture to sustain plants. In other words, during droughts, the soils could have the moisture to sustain the plants. They could, but they don't because of the poor soil and its low water holding capacity. Now, prescription number 2 from University of Florida. It says, cover crops are proving to be vital in development of soil health. Cover crops provide benefits such as reduced erosion and additional residue cover, but their greatest benefit may be what is happening under the soil surface. In other words, hey, it's a cover crop, it's covering the ground, the above ground part of the plant is covering the ground. That's good. But what's even better is those living roots in the ground that are, living roots, the living roots of plants. They jumpstart the soil food web, they add carbon to the soil, they increase soil structure because they jumpstart the soil food web. You get, glomalin coming into action. You're developing your soil organic matter. Soil organic matter is the spongy material that is able to hold water. Soil organic matter is also kind of a operating system or a lattice for lots of the chemical and biological activity that goes on underground. So it says cover crops provide active living roots that form symbiotic relationships with fungi, according to Steenworth and Bellina in 2008. Now, the third prescription from University of Florida is organic amendments. This means different things in different contexts, but one of the most desirable and readily accessible forms of biomass is crop residues. The biomass that remains after a crop is harvested. Considered the greatest source of soil organic matter, crop residues have historically been used for animal bedding, burned, left on fields. So, in other words, we haven't always been a good steward of the crop residues. Crop residues can block the rain when it falls. They can soften the impact of the rain. Rain on bare soil is really detrimental. It causes compaction. Compaction causes oxidation. Compaction and oxidation cause the soil organic matter and the soil food web to die, to the soil ecosystem to degrade. So, in summary, Florida Ag Extension Service recommends no-till, cover crops, and organic amendments as a way to increase your soil's water holding capacity and to increase your soil's organic matter. So, conclusion. Media coverage of the droughts in the American West is deeply irresponsible. I've been a climate reporter for 4 years. I've recorded 356 episodes of the Climate Report. I can tell you that media coverage of climate is irresponsible and misleading. A lot of it is from Polo, the power of leaving things out, the power of leaving out. It's what they don't tell you that is really important and consequential and life-changing and earth-changing. But they're not going to tell you in the mainstream media, they're not going to tell you that, they're not going to tell you about all of the opportunities that we have to capture rainfall, to prevent drought, to become more drought resilient, to build soil organic matter, to increase the plant cover, to increase the diversity of our plants, to get more animals, fungi, and microbes in on the action so we can increase the quality of our soils. They'll say some of that from time to time. There's some of it somewhere, but they're not giving the emphasis that it deserves. They're not giving emphasis to the strategies that we could employ and deploy very inexpensively to prevent drought and become more resilient to drought, all of which would do a tremendous service in drawing down carbon, which is what we're supposed to be concerned about. I mean, we're supposed to be concerned about this. Okay, so you would never know from this coverage that we have the power to capture the rain and hold on to it, such that you can survive and even thrive during periods of rainfall. The coverage is like, oh, all this drought. It's a mega drought. It's the worst drought, objectively. It is, indeed, in fact, the worst drought in 1,200 years. Okay, got it. It's the worst drought in 1,200 years. So what are we going to do about it? They're not telling you, in my humble opinion, as an experienced climate reporter. So it starts, all of this starts, the solutions start when we practice the principles of soil health, as described herein and as described in Dirt to Soil by Gabe Brown, One Family's Journey into Regenerative Agriculture. It's an excellent book. I've read it 2 or 3 times. I keep going back to it as a reference. It's an excellent book. So, if you enjoyed this content, please click like and subscribe. Thank you.